Jack Quaid is on a roll. First we had Companion in January, and now we have Novocaine coming in March. And I will say, I think he has another winner. Start out with the positives. Let me tell you something. For the first 20, I think to the next 30 minutes of this movie, they are selling you this love story, this romance that I was eating up. If you guys don't know, I like to read romance novels, and I like a good, very important word, a good romance movie. And they just don't always come out all the time, in my opinion. With Jack Quaid, and I think her name, oh my God, I'm forgetting her name, forgive me. But the main girl in this, they are characters who kind of know each other through work. He works in a bank as an assistant manager, and she's a bank teller. And they kind of have always noticed each other. And Jack Quaid's character has had the longest crush on her for months. And he plays a lover boy in here, and I was buying it. He is so into her. They finally end up going out with each other. I have this whole thing that happens. I don't want to ruin it for you because I want you to experience this beautiful love story that happens within the first 30 minutes of the movie. And I'm buying it. And I think this was so important because you are really wanting them to be together by the end of this movie. So I think it was so important for the chemistry to feel real and for the connection to feel real, because they are not only two beautiful people, but you get to see the characters interact with each other. They talk to each other about some of their past, and you buy it. You know, Jack Quaid's character, if you've seen the trailer, you already know, but he has this condition in his nervous system where he cannot feel pain. And so what that has done to him, though, it has caused him to be very, very overly careful and very anxious, which is very understandable. But it's to the point where he can't even let himself enjoy aspects of life. Like, he is afraid of eating solid foods, for example, because he's so afraid of biting his tongue and like bleeding out and not being able to do anything about it in time. So he lives a very like structured life. He won't really let himself get too close to anybody. No real friends outside of a gamer friend that he has, no real relationships, and he lives alone, and he just lives a very kind of like careful and bland life. And then in comes this girl who he lets her know about his condition, and she is very determined to kind of like to open him up so that he can just live a little bit. There's a beautiful scene in here when he tries cherry pie for the very first time, I think, in his life or in a long time. He is having the best time just trying this pie. I think like it just came off so beautiful that she was able to do this for him. He's gonna have the capabilities to open himself up more to more experiences of life through this love that he's gonna have with this girl. So when she gets kidnapped because of this bank robbery, he knows that this is like his person. This is the girl of his dreams. They have connected. They have chemistry. So he's going to do whatever he needs to do, even though he's this average Joe man, but he has these capabilities. He's going to go after her and rescue her because for him, she's it, so he needs to save her. Because of that, the romance in the beginning really, really sold me. And more importantly, I think it is very important that it was put in this because this is not a superhero film. Even though he has this ability to not feel pain, he's just an average man working a regular job. He has regular hobbies, playing video games. He's not out there like trying to save people. So you really have to kind of buy into, well, why would he put himself in so much danger with gunmen, these very dangerous people, to go save this girl? But because we saw their connection in the beginning, it makes a lot of sense why he would go through a lot of freaking obstacles to try and go and get his girl. I think this movie clocks in at about 2 hours, and I thought it was really well paced. A lot of times, if you've been watching my channel, I have criticisms about how movies, a lot of the times they just run too long. Okay, they've been running too long. A lot of them are over 2 hours long, and very, very rarely does that work for me. Okay, I just feel like a lot of scripts are bloated for no reason. I feel like there must be some data about why movies are like this. But with this one, it's 2 hours. It didn't go over 2 hours, but I never felt bored. You see him go through the city doing these wild things where he has to sometimes kill people. He has to, because he gets hurt, so he has to go somewhere and try to fix himself up because he needs to fix himself so that he can go ahead and try to find his girl. So there's just a lot of things that happen in here that keeps the plot moving, that makes you want to see, okay, what else can he survive? How else is he going to get hurt? And I have to say, the action in here is very, very violent. And I never watched a full trailer. I try not to do that because trailers just spoil so much of the movies these days. So it kind of caught me a little bit off guard when I saw just how violent this is. So if you are squeamish in any way, you know, just be aware of that. Get ready to kind of look away, because they don't hold punches. There's like lots of blood. There are, you know, certain body parts that are going into very, very hot water, and just things that are kind of nasty. I thought that there were some very interesting shots in here as well. It is an action movie, I can say, first and foremost. So they found a lot of interesting ways to film the action scene. Jack Quaid's character, again, is not some superhero. He doesn't know any kung fu moves. So he kind of has to think about, okay, like, what can I grab? I think things that are realistic to people of everyday life. If you're in danger, you're going to try to find, okay, what's like a sharpest object that I can find so I can try to defend myself. So that's very much what he does. And the way the camera moves at certain points kind of makes it feel more of like an immersive experience, especially in the restaurant kitchen scene. So this movie also has some twists and turns, and I do think one of those twists does make for some good conflict. But for my personal taste, I think that this conflict that's presented halfway, the way it's resolved and the reconciliation, I think it happened just a little bit too quickly, and I would have wanted more from that. So with that segue, I will lead to some of my cons of this movie. You're gonna have to suspend your disbelief a whole lot. And that may seem like an obvious comment because of the nature of the content, where there's this average guy who feels no pain. But there are just certain aspects of this where he gets into these certain situations that do not make any sort of sense. There are plot holes galore, but I think a lot of people will probably not care about them because this movie is just so much fun. It's fun to watch, and there's so many fun obstacles to see him go through. But I think for me, because I noticed so many of them that just happened a lot of the times, and that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me, that I do have to put that in my cons list as just something that, like, really, I mean, for example, there's a whole sequence in here that has to do with booby traps that I think was just so convenient. I mean, come on, why in the world would this person conveniently have booby traps set up in their home like we're on the set of Home Alone? It still felt like, well, we need him to get into some more trouble where he can get hurt even some more so that he can get into these crazy situations. So we're gonna set up these booby traps in this person's house to make it happen. That's what I felt like. Like, it took a lot of suspension, as I said. And again, you probably won't mind, but for me, it was like a lot of those types of things kept happening that I was just like kind of rolling my eyes a bit. While I did praise some of the action scenes in here, there is, I think, a little bit too much slow-mo that's used for my taste, and I think that can come off kind of corny. So I had mentioned this a little bit during my positive sides of this video, but because of some twists and turns that happen midway in this, I kind of predicted how everything was going to go down by the end, which is fine. Sometimes it's okay when you know how something's going to end, but you just don't really know how we're going to get there. And that is, I think, where the talent truly lies, especially if you're writing a genre like a romance novel. We all know they're going to end up together, blah, 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 but it depends, like, you know, how do we get there? What's going to happen? What's the conflict? How's it going to be solved? And because I think for me, since I was pulled in by the romance first and foremost, that was the real big selling point for me. The beginning of this, I freaking loved it. I just expected a little bit more from it by the end of the movie. I can't say exactly what I mean because I do not want to spoil this for you. I want you to go and watch it and experience it for yourself. But I just wanted more from that, because certain things happen and then you think, okay, well, you know, this person kind of has to do these certain things so that certain reconciliations can make sense to me. You know, some things some people do and say we're kind of like let off kind of easy, and I just don't prefer that. I want my romances earned. Okay, I want my my reconciliations to feel just a little bit more earned. But all in all, I thought this was a good time at the movies. I think I'm gonna rate this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. When this was starting up for me, I thought to myself, oh my god, holy crap, I think I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 stars. Like, so far it was that high for me, but then because of all my cons list, things that I was noticing and then things that I was just kind of dissatisfied with, I knocked it down half a star. But 3.5 is not bad. That is still fresh in my eyes, so I definitely recommend for you to watch this. I think Jack Quaid is 2 for 2 so far this year. I wonder if he has more movies coming out this year. He is putting in work. Thank you guys so much for checking out my video. I'm looking forward to many more movies in March. I have a whole playlist of 2025 movie reviews that I will put down in the description below, and I can't wait to watch more and give you guys my thoughts. I'll catch you guys next time.